imports that are going on there, they're down over 15%. You look at their export and import trade, down both of them. China is in a bubble. But here's what's going on. You talked about the volatility in the bond markets. There's volatility in the oil markets. You're seeing swings on the equity markets and the Shanghai index, whether it's the DAX in Europe. You're seeing 3 and 5% swings daily. There's total volatility. The only way this market has been propped up is by this cheap money, and they have no way out. You know, we had a conference here last week. One of the guest speakers was Nomi Prinz, who, as you well know, was the author of All the President's Bankers. As it would have it, just 2 days before she came here to Colonial Kingston, she was a keynote speaker at the Federal Reserve meeting with the World Bank and the IMF and the Federal Reserve. And here she is on a tapes, and they'll be made available at the conference, saying they don't know what they're talking about.
Well, Gerald, I'd love to air some of that and then put a plug at the end to get the full interview. But for folks that don't know, Nomi Prinz was a managing director at Goldman Sachs. She worked under the head of Goldman Sachs, and back in 2002 or whatever, couldn't be part of it anymore because of what she saw coming. And that's huge that she was a keynote speaker at a Federal Reserve major event, because we even have major Federal Reserve sub-chairman in Dallas and Kansas City sounding like Gerald Celente, sounding like others. So it really shows people in the system are worried. That is huge that they had her address the Federal Reserve.
And she said what she wanted. She said, you know who I am, and I'm going to say what I feel like. She said what happened was that the reason it went over so well was that the opening address just before her was from a cardinal. And the cardinal said that the bank should be doing more to help the people and help the poor. So he kind of set the framework for her to come out, blasting away. And what a dynamo she is. And then we had a Q&A afterwards, and her and I both went on and talked about the same issues. But the bottom line of all of this is that at the top, they don't know what they're doing. They have no idea. They're guessing at this. There's never been such a thing as quantitative easing.
That's right. We're in a total la-la land of experimentation. And how long can it keep going? I mean, we know, as you predicted, the real collapse globally for real people started a few years ago. We had 0.2 growth. We know that's Cook numbers. Ron Paul agreed that it's probably 3% negative. That's a depression. But they paper over it with this fake service economy and all these baubles, but even that's starting to implode.
Well, again, look at the numbers coming out now in the housing market. After all of this cheap money, it's still no great deal out there. It's, they're building half of what they did during the boom. They talk about the rebirth in manufacturing. Again, another Washington White House lie. You have since 2007, manufacturing is down over 3%, and some 3 million jobs in manufacturing have been lost. And where are they made up? Oh, they're made up in healthcare, ambulatory services, jobs that pay nothing. Here's the facts. You go from when the crash happened to now, 95% of all the wealth gained during that period in the United States went to 1%. I'm not making that number up. It's a fact. While the income of the average person, the median household income, is even now below 1999 levels. There is no recovery. It's only enriching the rich. So when is it going to explode or implode? I would have thought 3 years ago. We had forecast they were going to raise interest rates in March of 2014. Who in their right mind would have ever believed that they would keep these interest rates, 0% interest rates, going on for 90 months? And you saw what happened back in Switzerland and in Germany just a couple of months ago. They're selling 10-year bonds that pay negative interest rates, which means you buy the bond and get less money back under the big lie of deflation 10 years later. So this is all a game and here's what we're saying, and that's what this week's Trends is about. that the Middle East could be the kind of catalyst that blows these markets to pieces. And that's the outside geopolitical event. Everybody should be watching closely what's going on in Yemen, because the prostitutes aren't reporting it, and the United States is a part of it.
Let me ask you this question. And we've talked about this forever, but now it's in The Guardian, The New York Times, everywhere. The elites are buying underground bunkers, safe houses. They're moving to New Zealand. I knew a lot of Hollywood folks 6, 7 years ago were telling me, we think the U.S. is going to collapse. That's the inside word. Big producers, billionaires moving. Israel, all their billionaires have left and moved out. What do the elite know the public doesn't know? Why are they so scared?
There was in Bloomberg yesterday, there was a fellow from South Africa. I believe he's the head of Cartier. Jason, I think, Rapport.
He came out and said he's worried about total social unrest because of inequality.
Yeah, Johan, that was his first name. Exactly. And this is a guy saying, and he's in South Africa, so he's really feeling it. And that's what's going to happen. You know what I say. When people lose everything and have nothing left to lose, they lose.
Let's talk about that when we come back, and ways to protect ourselves and other important news you're looking into. Gerald Celente is our guest. Find his excellent website, trendsresearch.com, and subscribe to his amazing quarterly publication and other goodies at that website, and support hardcore liberty-based truth media affecting the destiny of the planet than InfoWars, and the array of amazing minds and guests we bring you. And one of those chief amongst them is Gerald Celente, trendsresearch.com. You need to support the good guy so he can continue and expand and do more, which you've been doing. Become a member, get his free Trends updates, or sign up, get the quarterly, and get more of their exclusive material that it costs money to put out, and get the Trends Journal quarterly sent to you at trendsresearch.com. Okay, going back to Gerald Celente, who, again, is doubling down on America. He went and bought land there in New York where the country started, Colonial Kingston. He's having conferences. He's making the news. He's doing international media. He's doing domestic media. He's reaching millions every week. He's doing his own daily show, video blog. He's taking action. Will he save the world? No. But together, we can bring back a renaissance, and that's what he's been talking about. The globalists admit they uglied up architecture. They uglied up clothes. So we would lose respect for ourselves. They have the CIA fund ugly art. They've done it scientifically. It's declassified. Are they going to be successful suppressing humanity, Gerald Celente?
No. And if there was a great quote from Rand Paul right after he announced that he was running for president, and he was being interviewed on NBC. And the host asked him if he always wanted to run for president. He said, no, he said, that wasn't always on his mind. He said, but I hear from the guys that are running out there that you hear from, they wanted to be president, run for president since they were in the 8th grade. And that's what you have. As I say, the people that are running the show.
You said it 100 times on this show, thousands on your own. They want to be the people running things since they were kids. That's not who you want. You want a George Washington or an Eisenhower that doesn't want the job.
And just as you couldn't stand these guys that wanted to be, and women that wanted to be class president and head of student council in high school and college, you can't stand them now. And what I'm saying is, those are the people running the show. Why is everybody afraid of them? Of course it could change. There's nothing in the way to stop it other than the will and what they've done. And you've been talking about it, because when you put it all in context, it's a neo-feudal society. We have a political elite, an economically privileged, and we the little people. You mentioned it before. All of the Forex rigging, it's a fact. All of the LIBOR rate rigging, the interest rates, it's a
gold,
fact.
Silver, it's all come out. Everything's rigged.
It's rigged. All of the, quote, missteps and misleading of the peanuts that they paid, slap on the wrist fines, not one head rolls. But look at the laws for we the little
Just
people.
like Corzine grabbed your bank account, didn't get in trouble.
That's right. Nobody's ever heard about it again. So what happens is it's a neo-feudal society. And the laws for the nobility are different than the peasants. And that's what's happened in the country. Anybody that has to deal with the government at any level, look what they do. You know, you asked me one time, it was on the last show, have I ever been harassed, been treated unfairly by the police? I forgot. I wrote a whole story in the Trends Journal. I called it To Pee or Not to Pee. I pulled off on a country road in the middle of nowhere in upstate New York.
Yeah, where are you supposed to? I mean, growing up in Texas, you see everybody pulled over peeing in a bush.
But I was going into the woods. I had a convertible. My top was down. It was 10 o'clock at night. I wrote the story, and I even sent the same letter that I wrote in the Trends Journal to the court up here in New York, where this guy started harassing me, the state trooper. Who am I looking for in the woods? And he would not let me go to the bathroom and followed me for 45 minutes. This guy harassed me. He wanted to start a confrontation. So in a neo-feudal society, don't go over that yellow line. Your signal light wasn't on when you made a turn. You had your brakes on when another car was coming at you, but steal trillions of dollars, ruin the lives of tens of millions of people by foreclosing on their homes, robbing them of everything you got. And you know what you get, Alex? You get dinner at the White House. That's what you get. You don't do anything wrong. Stay in line. We're going to prosecute to the letter of the law because we're a neo-feudal society. And what do the prostitutes do? Those disgusting human beings, those media whores, I'll tell you what they do. Hey, you see what happened with FIFRA? I'm saying to myself, what's a FIFRA? Why is this thing on the front pages? Oh, I'll tell you why. Because people are into sports. Oh, and you know what, Alex? We're going to have our Attorney General who's letting all the slimesters that are stealing from us that do nothing, we're going to go prosecute people in another country. And you know why, Alex? Because over a 24-year period, they stole up to $150 million. $150 million over 24 years. That's a second of stealing by the banks in the neo-feudal United States. That's what's going on. We are being pushed into a, hey, you think I'm making it up? Every time you see the president, the secretary of this or that, they got a plane, there's these 747s and red carpets and saluting everywhere. It's the nobility.
Other news items. I mean, there's so much. What do you make of Bilderberg and a 6-mile security perimeter threatening to arrest press if they step across an invisible line? There's not even fences up. They just say, don't come in here, as if everybody's read the newspaper, or we're going to put you in jail for 2 weeks. They're flipping out on our reporters, and here are a bunch of known criminals meeting in secret to set policy. I think it's good news, though, that these shadow government organizations are being exposed. It's good news for the people. And again, I want to also pick up on what you said. It's very important for what can people do? They need to support, they need to buy the products that you're selling. You're putting out quality products that are going to improve people's lives. And by the way, that's another one of the big trends in the Trends Journal, longevity. And so when we're talking about, and my putting information out, they need to support us because you're right, it is big news. Because I remember learning about the Bilderbergs back, in the early 1980s when there was this newspaper, I think it was Liberty Lobby, that they ended up putting out of business. That this wonderful attorney I knew in Rhinebeck started turning me on to these things, an older cat. And now it's become common. But you ask me, what do I think about what they're doing, how they're cordoning off the area? They're the nobility. That's the way you protect the nobility. And that's what I'm trying to say. It's up to the people now to really do something. The power is in our hands. And if the people would only understand that, they wouldn't bow down to authority. They wouldn't applaud freaks that show up and call themselves candidates. And I'm sick of these presidential candidates talking